Good morning.
In addition to the evaluations that you do, is it true that you've also taught some courses to other forensic psychiatrists and psychologists about how to testify in cases like these?
Yes, I have.
And you teach them how to answer questions and how to dress and how to appear believable and trustworthy, correct?
That's correct.
And in one of your trainings, excuse me, Do's and Don'ts of Depositions by Dr. Philip Resnik, in your course description, you state information beyond the question should not be volunteered because it will open up new areas for questioning, provide ammunition for attacks, eliminate the opportunity for surprise, and information fails to get to the jury, correct?
That's correct.
So you teach other psychologists how to hold back information in the discovery process to surprise the other side.
No, that's not it. And I'm not a psychiatrist.
Now, a woman who kills her child can have more than one motive, correct?
Yes.
And actually, the most common motive for women who kill their children is fatal maltreatment or child abuse, correct?
That's correct.
And in fact, most women who kill their kids don't do it due to mental illness, correct?
That's correct.
And in fact, there's a quote from you in an article, Child Murdered by Mothers, Patterns and Prevention, where you say, quote, more filicides occur due to fatal maltreatment than because of maternal psychiatric illness, correct?
Correct.
You also have written about parents having significant emotional devastation after killing their children, correct?
Yes.
And in fact, you've written in, it's a chapter 6 of Family Murder, Child Murder by Parents, in the Aftermath section, you've written, quote, these life events are likely to prolong the parent's depression. The anniversary of the children's deaths and exposure to things that remind the parent of it are likely to be upsetting, correct?
Yes.
Things like birthdays and holidays and the anniversary of the killings would all be something that would be upsetting, correct?
They sometimes are, yes.
Now, you've written a lot about malingered psychosis, correct?
Yes.
And malingering psychosis, you can have a mental illness and your malingering could be exaggerating those symptoms or saying you have psychosis symptoms when you don't, correct?
That's correct.
And one of the things that you have written, and there's an article that you wrote called Faking It, you've written in here, quote, command auditory hallucinations are easy to fabricate. Persons experiencing genuine command hallucinations do not always obey the voices, especially if doing so would be dangerous, correct?
That's correct.
You've also given some points to other practitioners. If you, quote, if you suspect a person of malingered auditory hallucination, ask what he or she does to make the voices go away or diminish in intensity, correct?
Yes.
Because typically someone who hears a voice telling them to do something horrible like kill their child will try to resist that voice initially, correct?
That there's variability. Some do and some don't.
And in fact, the case you mentioned earlier, Andrea Yates, Miss Yates, in fact, committed herself to a hospital 5 times and tried to kill herself twice, all while trying to not kill her children, correct?
Yes.
She had heard voices for months and telling her to kill her children, and to resist those voices, she actually tried to kill herself, correct?
Until she could no longer resist the voices, yes.
Right. But she tried.
Right, as did Miss Clancy.
Well, according to the records, and reports that we have that are in evidence, Ms. Clancy heard the voice and immediately acted, correct? According to those records?
Well,
Is that correct?
Well, Ms. Clancy had impulses to harm her children, which she did resist until the command hallucination when she was overwhelmed, yes.
But according to the records and the testimony that we've had, she had an impulse in December one time to harm her children, correct?
I believe it was on 2 occasions that she mentioned it to her husband.
And then never again after that until her kids were killed, correct?
There were only 2 occasions she mentioned it, but she referred to having these horrible impulses, so that suggests to me she was dealing with it on an ongoing basis, although she mentioned it only twice to her husband.
But she never said she had thoughts to kill her children. She said she had thoughts to harm her children, correct?
Yes, but actually, I think it's clear that to harm her children was to kill her children.
Well, in the records where you say that she was so clear in presenting her symptoms to her doctors, she repeatedly was asked if she had any homicidal ideation, and she repeatedly said no, correct?
That's right, and she didn't in the initial parts of her treatment, but by late December and January is when she did have those impulses.
But what
and
she
she
told
did
her,
not acknowledge them.
but what she told
She
her
did not acknowledge
doctors,
them to her doctor.
what she told her doctors in December is that she had no homicidal ideation. She only reported suicidal ideation, correct?
Yes, and as noted, that's very common because people fear their children will be taken away.
So it's better to kill them than to have them taken away.
Sustained.
You know, it's not better to kill them
Hold on, Doctor.
than have them taken away.
That question is stricken, that answer is stricken.
Why is that stricken?
You say that she was very forthcoming in her symptoms to her medical providers, but she never told those medical providers that she had an impulse to harm her children, correct?
That's correct.
You also, in teaching people about malingering, about faking hearing voices or being psychotic, you give pointers of what people should look for, such as patient uses no strategies to diminish hallucinations. Patient states he obeys all commands, correct?
Yes.
You also, in a podcast, evidence entitled Identifying Malingering with Dr. Philip Resnik, you were asked about malingering, and you said, and asked about hearing voices, and you said, quote, so a common example I'll use in teaching is if you hear a voice out of the blue that says, kill your mother, your moral fiber would cause you to hesitate. But if you have concurrent delusion that your mother is an evil wizard, you're more likely to act on that command hallucination, correct?
Correct.
And there's no evidence in the records or in the testimony that we've had thus far that Ms. Clancy believed that her children were evil or that they were possessed or that there was any danger posed by them or to them by such forces, correct?
Instead, Ms. Clancy
Well, it was a
had
yes or no question, doctor.
No, go ahead. You can answer that.
Instead, Ms. Clancy had the psychotic, distorted belief that her children would be better off in heaven rather than being motherless. So that was her psychotic distortion, coupled with the command hallucination. So she met the exact requirement you're referring to.
And you believe that that was her psychotic delusion, that they would be better off without her, better off in heaven without her, because according to your report, you could figure out no rational, non-psychotic motive for her to kill her children, correct?
Yes.
And so just because you can't figure out a motive or you don't know a motive or the person doesn't tell you a motive doesn't mean that there actually isn't a motive, correct?
There was a motive.
But that's not what I asked you. I did not ask you about Ms. Clancy. I said, just because someone tells you that they don't have a motive or you can't figure out a motive doesn't mean they didn't actually have a motive, correct?
That's possible, yes.
Look at Attorney Reddy.
You also state in another article identifying malingering with Dr. Philip Resnik, you point out that the rapid resolution of symptoms with medication can be a red flag.
That's correct.
Were you aware from the Tewksbury records that on page 1136 it says Ms. Clancy has been clinically stable since her admission. There have been no events of affective, cognitive, or behavioral instability since her admission, and that Ms. Clancy has not evidenced any challenges in accepting and conforming to the rules and standards. Did you review that
Yes,
note?
I'm aware of that.
Okay. Were you also
Yep.
aware on page 1168 that it says Ms. Clancy denies that she has ever experienced hallucinatory content prior to or since that event, referring to when she killed her children, correct?
Yes.
And you're aware on page 1170, it states Ms. Clancy presents with intact reality testing and no observable symptoms of psychosis. She is actively engaged in treatment. She is able to identify possible hopes for her future, including serving as an activist for postpartum psychosis awareness and participating in a wheelchair marathon. Were you aware of that?
Yes.
I move to submit these three sections as the next three exhibits.
Any objection? All right. Are those part of the Tewksbury records are already in?
Yes.
Okay, those may be admitted.
Yes, please.
I fear she smoked him too.
Doctor, you mentioned that when you interviewed Ms. Clancy, you spoke to some nurses who told you she had been crying every day, correct?
Yes.
Are you aware that in the Tewksbury records, in the one-to-one notes of people who watched her every minute of every day, there's no record of her crying every day?
Well, when I saw her at 4 months, I'm not sure, was she already, how long had she been at Tewksbury? Well, I'm not aware of that note, but my recollection is that she was observed crying.
But there's no record of her crying at Tewksbury every day, correct?
I have no knowledge of it.
And you mentioned that during the interview, not getting into anything that she said, but her affect, her expressions, her emotions, you said that they were flat and blunted, correct?
Yes.
Do you remember the portions of the video where she smiled and laughed?
Are you talking about the video of my interview?
What was that?
Are you talking about the videotape of my interview with her?
Yes. Yes, at the end of the video, do you recall her smiling and laughing?
So does that open up the video?
This is affect and behavior.
That's an issue we could talk about over here, and probably something best raised on cross.
Okay.
I mean, on redirect, I'm sorry.
And just getting into her affect and behavior, doctor.
Yes. Yeah, that's not inconsistent with her affect throughout the interview, especially, for example, in talking about
Well, not getting into
how
what she
delighted
talked
she
about,
was with
doctor. I'm not asking anything about what she talked about, just her expressions and her affect. Now, you mentioned that the Commonwealth experts saw Ms. Clancy 3 years after you examined her, correct?
I said it was 3 years after the crime.
Okay. And you're aware that the Commonwealth was not permitted to interview Miss Clancy until after defense had filed a notice of their defense and we'd been given permission by the court to have our experts interview her, correct?
Yes.
And you're aware that did not occur until approximately 2.5 years after the incident, correct?
Yes.
Now, you mentioned that postpartum psychosis doesn't typically happen 8 months after a child's born, correct?
Yes.
In fact, typically, it's within 4 weeks of a child being born, correct?
Most often, yes.
And you mentioned that her postpartum, Ms. Clancy's postpartum symptoms began within that 3-month time frame of postpartum. Do symptoms have to occur within that 3-month period to be postpartum?
Well, there's a wide range of definitions of postpartum. Some scholars in the area make it the whole first year, others 3 months, others 4 weeks.
And in fact, her seeking help from a psychiatrist happened in September, which would have been 4 months after she gave birth, correct?
Correct.
You mentioned that Ms. Clancy was able to hide her symptoms of depression from her friends, that she was open with some people, but she was able to hide those symptoms from friends and other people she interacted with, correct?
Yes, hide the depth of her depression.
And so she was able to control and conform her behavior to situations in which she did not want to show people how she was feeling, correct?
Sure, very common.
Now, you wrote in your report on page 24 that Ms. Clancy had paranoid beliefs that her children would be taken away from her if anyone knew what she was going through, correct?
Yes.
But that's actually a rational belief, is it not, that if someone knows you want to harm your children, they might be taken away?
It can be rational, but it was more, it approached irrational in her case rather than rational.
I have nothing further.
Your redirect? Bless you.
I'm sorry, Dr. Resnik.
No, thank you, doctor.
She tore his ass up too. I'm
All right,
sorry.
So if we could turn off that. Thank you, doctor.
The defense
Thank you.
made up all these theories about the voices and the scared of social services. Like she said, that's rational thinking. If you believe, okay, if I tell people I want to hurt my kids, social services is going to come get them, then you know that that's wrong. His witnesses hurt her case more than helped. I'm sorry. Dr. Resnik didn't slam dunk this thing.
Reagan.
Your Honor, Lindsay Clancy rests her case.
All right. So, members of the jury, the defense has now rested its case. All right, so I'm going to talk